What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Smart Rider Basic Training. This is Unit 2. We're going to be talking about more of that fundamental skill and understanding what the actual motorcycle is versus the situational awareness. Go ahead and grab yourself a slice of pizza because we're going to jump right into this. This is Lesson 1, Types of Motorcycles. And this is very important so you know what kind of bike you're going to be getting and riding, okay? So rookies, you'll be able to identify the different types of motorcycles. Very important. You got to know what a motorcycle is in the first place, okay? So you're going to understand the differences and the use cases for each one. You're also going to know what they're best suited for. Okay, a street bike versus off-road. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be learning about all these different kinds of motorcycles. Okay, so it's really cool because you can actually choose different kinds. You don't have to just get one kind of motorcycle and you're stuck. You can actually pick the one that is best suited for you, especially for what you're going to be using most of the time. Like 80% of your time on a motorcycle, what is it? Okay, that other 20%, don't make a massive decision for the 20%. 80% of the time, what are you using it for? Are you riding long distance or just around town? Are you just transportation or are you doing it for sport, having fun on the weekends? What about paved roads, off-roading, anything like that? Like, what is it that you're using it for 80% of the time? Very, very important because you would not buy soccer cleats for a marathon. So that's kind of the thing I'm trying to get to you is that figure out what it is you're going to use it for and then buy that one or use that one. Okay. So they come in different shapes and sizes, obviously. Motorcycles. These are pretty cool looking motorcycles here. 2 wheels, motor, handlebars, throttle, sometimes a clutch, sometimes pegs, sometimes they break off. But you're going to find the one that best fits you. There's about 3 categories. Talking about street, we're going to talk about dual purpose, and we're going to talk about off-road. And there's a bunch of different kinds inside. As you can see, standard, cruiser, scooter, or sport bike. So street motorcycles are meant to be used on public roads and highways. So kind of like this right here. Not off-road. It says street. It's on the street. They're pretty versatile. They're not super good off-road, but you can still go off-road. But these things, since you're going to be maybe riding on the road 80% of the time, you're going to be finding a lot of roads that you can play around on. Okay, so not a lot of dirt roads, not a lot of gravel stuff you're going to be doing. So you can do quite a bit on here. So you can do like stunting, track days, commuting. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do. Okay. Standard. Now this is the basic one. It's like a sport bike that's kind of naked. So you usually hear about naked bikes. It's usually sport bikes that don't have all the fairings, but the standard itself is more upright seating. So sport bikes, you're a little bit low. And then if it's naked, it just has no fairings and you're still kind of low. This one is more of that ergonomic, upright feel with the arms kind of sitting out, just like this right here. A little bit more comfy for the back. It's cheaper than sport bikes usually, and you have multiple options, and they also look pretty cool. You can wear pretty much whatever you want. Usually people that ride sport bikes wear full track suits or try to color code and match those things, and Harley riders or cruiser riders like to wear leathers. Here you can wear pretty much whatever you want, and it's going to match your bike. So we got cruisers. Now this is an Indian Chief. There's many different kinds of cruisers. You got Harley, Indian bikes, all these other kinds. The Honda Shadow, Honda Rebel, a bunch of different kinds of bikes. Great bikes. Usually lower seat height so that if you have shorter legs, you can actually flat foot or touch the ground at least. So it's very easy for new riders to start off on cruisers. The biggest problem is cruisers are kind of heavy. The nice thing about it is that it's a low center of gravity. So it's not going to like tip over and feel super heavy until it's almost on the ground. So these are really good for beginners, especially if you get a lower CC bike, so a lower engine size bike. So a Honda Rebel 300, Honda Rebel 500, those are really good beginner bikes. But cruisers are great. They're really good, long distance, easy on your back. You're sitting in a lounge chair basically. You can put saddlebags, usually like right here. You can customize them in so many different ways, changing the bars, changing the tires, suspension, upgrading the engine. Because if you notice, there's not a lot blocking stuff. You could do quite a bit of customization. Love cruisers, absolutely do. I also love scooters because of the fun factor. Scooters are absolutely fun. You see the step through? So when we talked about the low seat height, being able to get in as short riders, you can even get in here as the shortest rider ever. So the step through where the feet are, you're able to actually get in and then sit down, and it's more like a chair. So it's very easy, very common to most people. And also his left hand, you see that little lever? That's usually a clutch lever. So sometimes scooters, most scooters, are actually automatic. So that's usually a brake lever, and there's another brake lever on the other side. So it's really cool. Very easy to get into, very low CC, so low engine size typically, because underneath that seat there's usually a compartment for bags or luggage or anything like that. But the engine is pretty small. So what happens there is that you can't carry a lot, you can't do a lot, but you have really good fuel mileage, and on top of it, it's really cheap. So it's very inexpensive to get a scooter. So now we start thinking about what are we using it for? So if you're a college student and all you have to do is go from the dorm or your house or your apartment or whatever to school within town, you're not leaving anywhere, and you want good gas mileage, scooters are really good. Especially if you go to the grocery store, you just feeding yourself, you could easily fit some groceries in there. Sport bikes. Now, this is what people are probably here for. They really love sport bikes. They really want to be a part of the sport bike crowd. You have to think, though, these came from MotoGP. These are designed for racing. They started off as standard bikes, and all of a sudden you get in fairings for more aerodynamics. You start racing. Racing is what bred this, okay? The racing is what bred this. So this is designed for people to want to go fast and to turn quickly. So if your goal is to go fast, great. But the thing is, as a smart rider, just trying to get from point A to point B as safe as possible. So you don't use all of it. So that means you don't have to get a very powerful sport bike. You could probably get a lower CC sport bike and still be good. Around 600 is still pretty good on the interstate or on highways. So if you need anything over a 600, you might be racing or doing something like that, okay? So dual purpose, we talked about street. We're going to talk about the middle ground with jack of all trades for street and off-road. After this, we'll talk about off-road only. This right here is really good. I love these for beginners because now you can actually play off-road and understand a little bit of that rear tire traction loss. We're skidding around on dirt. And then you can go on-road and continue on with your day. Once again, 80% of what you're going to be doing is what you want to buy a motorcycle for. So if you want to go off-road sometimes, like 20% of the time, get this bike. 80% of the time you're on road, go ahead and hop off road. Or vice versa, 80% off road, but you still want to go on road. Here you go. These are great bikes. So I know a lot of you are like, well, if I just put tires, like off-road tires, like I did on my Harley, and now it's a dual purpose. No, there's a lot that goes into a dual purpose bike. Better suspension, better brakes, or different kinds of suspension, different kinds of brakes. Definitely different kinds of tires. The wheel rim is different. It's designed around this purpose. It's going to be what it's better at. Okay, the dual purpose side. A Harley with knobbies with a 3-inch clearance, not very good. Okay, here's one major one. Now, I talked about dual purpose just a little bit, and that could be anything. It could be small bikes, that could be big bikes, and this is the big version. The smaller versions are going to be like a TW200 or like a little van or something like that, where it does have some knobbies and it is designed for off-road, but it's not meant for long distance. Okay, so those are really good bikes. Now, this one right here, Adventure Touring, this is what you think about when you hear about some dual-purpose bikes. This is designed to be on-road to get you where you need to go, but then also go off-road to get you where you need to go. So you might be wanting to go camping, 4 hours away. To get there, you either trailer your bike and then go camping, or you take this bike and you go all the way and come back. Okay, so you have a really big saddlebags. This guy has an extra tire on it. Lots of stuff. You got a skid plate right here. So if you hit anything on the ground like rock, it's not going to damage your bike. There's a lot that goes into it. Crash bars right there. Adventure touring is its own basic sport. It's its own thing. Now, this is something that, once again, we're thinking about 80% of what we're going to be using it for. Would this be really good for getting in and out of tight traffic, especially if you're going to school? Not really. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. Really big bike, meant for long distance, meant for comfort, and also meant for going off-road. So it's really well balanced. A scooter might be better for in town, especially as a college student. And if you're going to be doing 80 to 90% on-road, then maybe this isn't the bike for you. This is more 50-50. This is a really good, expensive bike, really good, but not really meant for street only or off-road only. And that's what we're going to be talking about here, off-road only. So dirt bikes, pretty standard. Enduro, trials, okay? So usually off-road only don't have headlights, don't have blinkers, don't have turn signals, all those different things. They usually just have the bare essentials. Dual purpose has headlights usually, mirrors, and all those other things because you need to be on-road and off-road. So dirt bike. Really designed for, motocross, MX track, but really just having fun either in the dunes, out in the, like I said, right here, in these fire trails out in the desert. Really good. You notice there's no headlight or anything, reduce the weight. Really fun. You can be riding over any rough terrain. You could do in the desert, like I said, but you can also go in the woods. There's just so much you can do off road. This is like the best thing for just purely off road. Now, enduro. So we see that we do have a headlight here. So now we're getting into like a dual purpose area, but this is like 80% off road, 20% like on road. The main thing about the enduro with the headlight is that they do really long timed events. So think of cross country instead of track out there, in high school or the Olympics. So cross country, you're going over mountains, you're going over, long distance trails, and it takes longer, 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 sometimes into the night, maybe a 24-hour type of trail ride. And that's why you have lights and you have all these other things. So very long distance versus short distance like this. This would be short distance on a track. This is long distance out in the wilderness, and that's why you have headlights and a few other things. Now, trials, you notice he doesn't even have a seat. So trials bikes are a lot of fun to watch on YouTube where they're jumping over things and like balancing things, and it's really, really a lot of fun to watch. Now, these are special purpose bikes. These are not designed for pretty much on-road or off-road. These are designed for obstacle clearing, obstacle maneuvering, climbing things, very high skill, very, very, very specific. So this might not be a popular choice for most people, but I know a few people that have gotten these bikes, and it's a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot of fun to watch. If you're going to be going on road almost 100% of the time, get a street bike. If you're going to be going off road almost 100% of the time, get an off road bike. But if you're going to be doing 50-50, or you just want to play around on the weekends sometimes, dual purpose might be a good option. So go to the dealership, figure out what genre, what area you want to be in, street only. Okay, boom. You go to the cruiser section because you like the cruisers, you sit on it, and it doesn't feel good. You go to the sport bikes, you didn't think about getting a sport bike, but you know it's a street bike. You sit on, you're like, ooh, this feels great. That might be the bike for you. So start thinking about that aspect. Think about what it is that you want. Think about what it is that you are going to be using it for 80+% of the time. Go towards that genre, go towards that area, and then start sitting on bikes because you never know. You might be a cruiser guy, but you started off as a sport bike. You might be a scooter guy. You never know.